Hi viewers, I am your Dr. Kola. Welcome to Deputy Dyeo series and diet lectures, and this is also useful for paper 1 of DLE distance contemporary education in India లేదా వర్తమాన భారతదేశంలో విద్య. For example, when you see almost all the topics are coming from the first paper. The books are available in Telugu Academy, right? So we are seeing the education policies. Besides, previously we have seen number of things. Today we will see 1986 education policy, which is a historic mark in the Indian education system. Under the leadership of Sri Rajiv Gandhi ji, then Prime Minister, who considered it as a prestigious one to bring about a change in the system of education in India. The bill was tabled by Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, the then educational minister, or what we call Minister of HRD, Human Resource Development. He called it as, P.V. Narasimha Rao called it as the will of then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi ji. So before introducing 1986 policy, there was a lot of work, groundwork done at all the levels, including all the stakeholders, people, society, educationists and children, right? And what we call that in 1985, it was submitted as a report like Education Challenges, Policy Prospectives. So it was in the form of a work called Education Challenges and Policy Perspectives. So 1986 education policy after 1968 focus on 10 plus 2 plus 3 system of education to be continued. Education is considered as an investment because investment internally leads to productivity, right? Determination of minimum levels of learning, MLL. This is also a very important point to be noted. And you see, common course syllabus for all over the country, because there should not be any disintegrity or disparity while continuing from one state to children continuing education from one state to another. However, states can make their own regional adjustments wherever they require, basing upon the regional requirements. And again, the same thing, universal elementary education of the primary level, 6 to 14, that is 8 years, and providing education to all without discrimination. Disadvantaged groups, social, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, as well as backward classes, then including mathematics, environment science, socially useful productive work, health education, and arts has also teaching subject, right? Compulsory pre-primary education, compulsory primary education, preparation of textbooks with quality, not quantity, teaching of at primary level in mother tongue. This is an important aspect. And implementing 3-language formula, for example, English as international language, Hindi as a national language, and regional language as the first language. And recognize the role of politicians, teachers, society, because they have certain role in running the system of education, right? Then degrees are not required for certain jobs. Okay, for example, doctors, engineers, teachers and lawyers require degree. For certain things, skills are required. So what we call certain technical jobs doesn't require degrees. And establishing rural universities, one of the important thing. And agriculture, industrial development, promoting literacy program for the adults. Okay, we had previously Saksharta Bharat, right? Providing minimum physical facilities to all the schools, like toilets, then drinking water, right? Minimum rooms, okay? Then sports education should also be given importance, and conduct research work. That is also important to bring about new changes in the education, and implement the education system which have democratic values, and also value education, right? Because values also are the part and parcel of Indian society, right? And then implementation of CC, continuous comprehensive evaluation, to improve the standards of the children and prevent from rote learning, establishing occasional courses, occasional institutions, and supporting them, provide educational incentives to the disadvantaged groups, and also to empower women, uh, support education institutions which bring about women development studies, and you see, understanding the diverse culture and regional differences and social system of the Indian education system. That type of lessons should be included in the curriculum, and also to start large scale, what we say, non-formal education, NFE. And one important thing when we come to NPE, National Policy of Education, 1986, establishment of Navodaya schools to promote talented children, okay, talented students living in rural areas, best of the equality and social justice. Okay, Navodaya schools for talented children, rural area, for social equality and justice. There may be question. Navodayas are established for, okay, social equity and justice, right? Because these groups are not able to reach particular rural people. So that was an important aspect of 1986 education policy. Then after 1986 education policy, there was POA, program of action, which is called as POA. Whatever 1986 education policy has recommended, certain things were were not implemented. So to look into that and how to get implemented, POA was established in after 1986 education policy, which was mainly concerned with promoting the specific goals of 1986 policy and mobilization of resources and specific progression of 1986 education policy. And as a part of this, we can see Operation Blackboard, which was introduced, right? This was about POE. Then coming to next is Acharya Ramamurti Education Committee. It is also appointed after POA in look into 1986 education policy, which has not taken up what the government expected. So it suggested establishment of Anganwadi centers, the villages for the education of girls and spread of women education, and also operated under the supervision of education committees. Okay, now what we have, school education committees like that, and adequate number of women teachers should be recruited. This is also one of the important aspects. Micro planning for women education, so that it should reach at the lower levels also. Then for, you see, incentives should be provided for all the weaker sections of the society, and then there should be incentives for those who leave, who have left education to continue education. They should also be provided incentives. Education of minorities, then funds should be increased to provide quality education at the primary level, and Navodaya Vidyalaya should be developed, which was started in 1986 education policy. Lastly, we come to Janardhana Committee, 1991, who was the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh at that time, and this was established with a 16-member high power committee under the chairmanship of Sri N. Janardhan Reddy, who happened to be the CM of that the Andhra Pradesh. Mainly, mainly the objectives are twofold: to review the implementation of National Education Policy 1986 and suggest suitable changes, and secondly, to examine the Acharya Ramamurti Committee report and analyze its practical suggestions. So it submitted its report in 1992 to CAB, Central Advisory Board of Education, right? So every person in the country should be literate before 21st century. Before 21st century, there should be 100% literacy, compulsory and free elementary education up to all the boys and girls, that is 6 to 14, up to the age of 14, primary schools within 1 kilometer for every student. Operation Blackboard should be extended to upper primary schools. Efforts should be made to achieve complete literacy on the model of Ernakulam experiment. Navodaya scheme should be continued. Okay, Navodaya Vidyalayas were established in 1986. Gurukula system in Andhra Pradesh should be supported by central funds. Central and state governments should jointly change the examination methods, that is evaluation system. Higher education board should be established in the every state, and University Grant UGC or University Grant Commission should establish its regional centers. So coming to the point, we had a quick glance at three things: 1986 education policy or national policy in education 1986, program of action, okay, to review or to look into the what to say limitations which were not limitations of 1986 policy. Then Acharya Ramamurti Committee to review 1986 education policy, and then come to Janardhana Reddy Committee in 1991 to have a look at 1986 or review, and then to review Acharya Ramamurti Committee. Okay, I think that this will be useful for you. Please see that point to point I'm trying to quote here, because in examination every point is important. Most of the time still candidates are preparing basing upon the material available in various resources in a model of bit. But first of all, to do bits, you have to be theoretically strong. You have to know the subject. Without knowing the subject, it is very difficult to mark the right answer in MCQs. It's a bit difficult if you don't have an look at all these things which are there in your subject. Hope that this will be useful for you. Signing off, your Dr. Kola. Bye bye.